You know that feeling when your rent goes up again and you think, maybe I should just buy a house? But then you look at home prices and suddenly renting doesn't seem so bad. If you've ever felt stuck between these two choices, wondering which one is right for you, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world are asking themselves the same question right now. Today, we're going to break down renting versus buying in the simplest way possible. No confusing terms, no pressure, just real talk about one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. Let's dive in. What is renting? So what exactly is renting? Think of it this way. When you rent an apartment or a house, you're basically paying the owner to live there for a certain amount of time, usually month to month or year to year. Every month, you write that rent check, and in return, you get a place to call home. The owner keeps the property, you keep the flexibility. It's like borrowing a car instead of buying one. You get to use it, but you don't own it. The biggest advantage of renting is freedom. If your job moves you to another city, you can pack up and go when your lease ends. You're not tied down. If the water heater breaks at 3 in the morning, you call the landlord. It's their problem, not yours. You don't pay for repairs, you don't worry about property taxes, and you don't need thousands of dollars saved up just to move in, usually just first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. For many people, especially those just starting their careers or those who value flexibility, renting makes perfect sense. It's simple, it's predictable, and it lets you live your life without being stuck in one place. What is buying a home? Now let's talk about buying a home. When you buy a house, you're not just getting a place to live, you're making a long-term investment. But here's the catch, most people don't actually buy a house with cash. Instead, they get something called a mortgage from a bank. Think of a mortgage as a really long-term loan. The bank gives you the money to buy the house, and you pay them back a little bit each month, usually over 15 or 30 years. So in a way, buying a home is like renting from the bank, except at the end of all those payments, the house is yours. You own it completely. That monthly payment you make to the bank is called your mortgage payment, and it's usually made up of a few parts. There's the actual loan repayment, there's interest, which is what the bank charges you for lending you the money, there's property tax, which goes to your local government, and there's homeowner's insurance, which protects your house if something goes wrong. When you own a home, you're building something called equity. Equity is the portion of the house that you actually own. Every month when you make that mortgage payment, a piece of it goes toward paying off the loan, and that means you own a little bit more of your house. Over time, as you pay down the mortgage and as the house hopefully increases in value, your equity grows. It's like a savings account that you're building without even thinking about it. And when you eventually sell the house, that equity turns into real money in your pocket. Comparing renting versus buying. Let's compare these two options side by side, because that's where things get interesting. First, let's talk about monthly costs. Research from 29 countries shows that 69% of homeowners say they're happy with their housing situation, compared with just 47% of renters. But the monthly costs tell an important story. In many housing markets around the world right now, mortgage payments cost more per month compared to average rent. The exact numbers vary by country and city, but the pattern is similar in places like Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, and many parts of Europe and Asia. In some markets, the difference can be several $100s or more every single month. So if you're just looking at what comes out of your bank account each month, renting is often cheaper right now. But here's the thing, that's not the whole story. When you rent, every dollar you pay is gone forever. Keeps a roof over your head, but it doesn't build anything for your future. When you pay a mortgage, part of that money is going toward owning your home. You're not just spending money, you're investing it. Over 10 or 20 years, that difference adds up in a big way. 0-0. Stability and long-term impact. Let's talk about stability. When you rent, your landlord can raise your rent pretty much every time your lease is up. In some cities around the world, rents have gone up by hundreds of dollars in just a few years. Madrid saw rents jump 48% over the past decade, the largest rental rise globally, while other cities saw more moderate increases. You have no control over that. If you can't afford the new rent, you have to move. When you buy with a fixed-rate mortgage, your main payment stays the same for the entire length of your loan. If you lock in a mortgage payment today, it'll still be the same amount in 10 years, even though everything else gets more expensive. That stability can be really valuable, especially as you get older and your income might not grow as fast. But there's a flip side. When you own a home, you're also responsible for everything that goes wrong. The roof starts leaking, that's thousands of dollars. The furnace breaks in winter, another few thousand. The dishwasher stops working, you're buying a new one. These costs add up and you need to be ready for them. Renters don't deal with this. If something breaks, you call the landlord and they fix it. That peace of mind is worth something. Freedom and flexibility. Now let's talk about freedom and flexibility. Renting gives you the freedom to move without much hassle. Maybe you get a better job offer in another country. Maybe you want to try living in a different neighborhood. Maybe your family situation changes. As a renter, you finish your lease and you're free to go. As a homeowner, it's not that simple. Selling a house takes time. time. You have to find a buyer, negotiate a price, go through inspections, deal with paperwork, and hope the market is good when you're ready to sell. The whole process can take months, and if you need to move quickly, you might have to sell for less than you hoped or even lose money. On the other hand, owning a home gives you a different kind of freedom. It's your house. You can paint the walls any color you want. You can get a dog without asking permission. You can renovate the kitchen, build a deck in the backyard, or turn the garage into a home gym. You can make it truly yours. Renters don't have that freedom. You're living in someone else's property, and you have to follow their rules. Common myths explained. Let's bust some common myths because there's a lot of confusing advice out there. One of the biggest myths is that renting is throwing money away. You hear this all the time. People say, why pay someone else's mortgage when you could be building equity? And yes, there's some truth to that over the long term. But in the short term, renting is not throwing money away. You're paying for a place to live just like you pay for food or electricity. And remember, right now in many markets, mortgage payments cost hundreds of dollars more per month than rent. If you're not ready to buy, if you don't have savings for a down payment, if your job isn't stable, or if you might move in the next few years, then renting is the smart choice. It's not wasteful, it's strategic. Another myth is that buying a home is always better. People treat homeownership like it's the ultimate goal, the dream, and for many people it is. But buying is not automatically better for everyone. If you buy a house and then have to sell it 2 years later because of a job change, you'll probably lose money. Buying and selling a home comes with huge costs, usually several % of the home's price just in closing costs when you buy, and another chunk in fees when you sell. On a house worth $300,000, that's tens of thousands in fees alone. You need time for your home's value to increase enough to cover those costs. Most experts say you should plan to stay in a home for at least 5 years, ideally longer, for buying to make financial sense. Real-life scenarios. Let me give you some real-life examples. Imagine Sarah. She's 25, just graduated from college, and landed her first real job in a big city. She's renting a one-bedroom apartment. Her friends keep telling her she should buy, but here's the thing, Sarah's career is just starting. She might get promoted and need to move to a different office or even a different country. She might decide this city isn't for her. She doesn't have $20,000 saved for a down payment, and she definitely doesn't have extra cash sitting around for emergency repairs. For Sarah, renting is absolutely the right choice. She gets to focus on her career, save money, and keep her options open. There's nothing wrong with that. Now meet the Martinez family. They're in their mid-30s with 2 young kids. They've been renting a 3-bedroom house for the past 5 years, and their rent has gone up steadily. They both have stable jobs, they've saved up a decent down payment, and they plan to stay in the same area because their kids are in good schools and their family is nearby. For the Martinez family, buying makes sense. Yes, their mortgage payment might be a bit higher than their current rent, but that payment won't go up every year like rent does. In 10 years, when rent in their area might be significantly higher, their mortgage will stay the same. Plus, they're building equity. Every payment brings them closer to actually owning their home, and when they retire, they'll own it outright with no more payments. Here's one more example. Meet James. He's a 32-year-old software developer living in an expensive city like London, Singapore, or San Francisco. He makes good money, but houses in his area are extremely expensive. Even with a good salary, the down payment alone would take years to save, and his monthly mortgage would be very high. Meanwhile, he can rent a nice apartment for significantly less per month. For James, the math just doesn't work out. He could drain all his savings to buy a tiny apartment, or he could keep renting, invest the money he saves, and maintain flexibility in case a great job opportunity comes up in another city. Sometimes, renting is simply the smarter financial choice, even when you can technically afford to buy. Balanced conclusion. So what's the bottom line here? Renting is not bad. Buying is not always good. The right choice depends entirely on your situation. If you're young, if your career is still developing, if you value flexibility, or if you're not sure where you want to be in 5 years, renting is probably your best bet. If you're settled, if you have stable income, if you've saved up for a down payment, and if you're planning to stay in one place for a long time, then buying might be the right move. And here's something important, you don't have to choose one forever. Many people rent for years while they save up, build their credit, and figure out where they want to settle down. Then they buy when the timing is right. There's no rule that says you have to buy by a certain age. The key is to be honest with yourself about your finances, your goals, and your life situation. Don't let anyone pressure you into buying if you're not ready. And don't feel bad about renting if that's what works for you right now. If this video helped clear things up for you, hit that subscribe button. We make videos that break down complicated money topics into simple, everyday language, no jargon, no pressure, just practical information that helps you make better decisions. Drop a comment and let me know, are you currently renting or buying? And what's your biggest question about housing? I read every comment, and your questions help me make better videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.